What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another video. Today's video, I want to do a little bit of a different segment. I hope you guys enjoy something a little bit outside the box as far as not being your typical review. But I thought I would just discuss, things I love and enjoy. And maybe you guys can piggyback off of this, and it can be kind of like I don't know, an infectious thing that spreads. And you guys could let me know in the comments what are some of your fondest memories. Because collecting isn't just about instant gratification. It's not about just getting the toys itself. It's about the feeling you get, the rush, the nostalgia sake too. Nostalgia is a thing, but the shot of adrenaline that you almost get every time, that rush, that feeling of happiness, and even the feeling of just feeling like a kid again, that really is infectious when it comes to collecting. And I just kind of want to discuss that because it's nice to do the typical review, but it's also nice to talk about stuff. And seeing as that there is a lot of, I guess, warranted negativity within the collecting community right now. A lot of, I shouldn't say negativity, I should say skepticism, and I should say, constructive criticism within the action figure community right now. So I just thought I would throw a little bit of positivity out there. And you guys know I am just as critical as most of the other people out there being critical of things that happen within the community. But I wanted to discuss something that makes me happy. And Shazam is one of those characters that has always made me happy, no matter what. He was the first ever action figure I ever owned. The first toy I remember even holding in my hand. And I remember when I got that superpower Shazam, and I would pinch his legs together and his arms would wail back and forth. His straight fist arms would wail back and forth. And I thought it was so cool that I could do so much with him. Not only could I do flying poses with him, flying with his fists in the air, but I could also use him as punching people with that right or left cross, straight right hand. And I could kind of get that depiction that you would get in a comic book where someone would straight cross you and your head would be turned to the side and blood or spit would be flying out of your mouth. That I always just pictured that in my head. And I was like, oh, he's so cool because I can get that, bam, that punch. So awesome. And him having a cloth cape, and which most of them did, the ones that did have capes. But I remember his cape being a little bit more durable. I remember his cape lasting the longest. And I don't, unfortunately, have this figure anymore. He was one of, I want to say, the last figures that I had that actually survived this big flood I had when I was younger. And all my toys kind of got thrown out. But I remember having him still, and, he finally kind of just disintegrated. I think I still have like an arm and a head. One of the legs were the first to just break. It just pretty much just from usage. His knuckles, I think I still have the arm, but the knuckles were all like the paint was wearing off and stuff like that. I got a lot of fun years out of that. I want to say that figure probably lasted me about 21 years. I do remember still having him intact on my 21st birthday and trying to find a replacement for him. And at the time, the action figure community wasn't what it is today when I was 21. So trying to track this guy down was a little bit more difficult. Everything wasn't as available. There was eBay, and that's about it. And eBay started in the 90s. So, and when eBay started, it was totally different from what it is today. Anyway, I digress. But the figure itself, I loved. Like, I remember the first day, I think it was my mom that actually got me this figure. And I remember opening up the package and that bright blue and yellow or goldish type packaging, and then seeing Shazam and not knowing anything about the character and just seeing the figure and the face sculpt, and it was really just a very wonderful, like he had that open mouth kind of smirking face. And I don't know, just then learning about the character and understanding that this is essentially you know a kid that turns into a superhero. How inspiring is that for a kid to become a superhero? Like, everyone wants that Superman ability, right? And Shazam, like, it's literally like you don't have to wait to grow up to become Superman. You can just say a word and then you are almost like Superman. And it's awesome. And on top of that, I was huge into the Greek gods, and he's got, you know, all of these different attributes from each Greek god. It just hit every single point of emphasis that I could possibly fathom that I was into at the time, and still am, the character itself, he's he's just a kid. He's a kid that is a superhero. He's still learning things. He's still maturing, whether he's a superhero or not. And it's not like he turns into the superhero and then he becomes a dull adult. No, he's still just a kid, and that makes him so much more interesting. And whether he looks like an adult, it's like Big, it's like the movie Big, and I'm convinced that's what they got the idea for Big from. But I thought it was so cool to see this character and how happy-go-lucky he was, and then later on how much they kind of tweaked his character a little bit. I've always liked his look. It's expressive. It's kind of, what encapsulates what would grab a kid's eye. You got the red with the yellow and gold and white, and he looks just so damn cool. And it's like, I remember as a kid, I was like, oh man, I would never say Shazam ever again, because I would never want to turn back to a kid. Like, why would I ever want to be a kid again? But then you think as an adult, that's from a kid's perspective, you think as an adult, like, sometimes you wish you were a kid so you could say those words, and then it's like reversed, So it's so cool to see two different perspectives from two different eras of a human being's life, and then think about that. How we always strive when we're younger to be older, and then when we're older to be younger. I'm not reinventing the wheel by making that statement, but it's just something that's fun to point out, I guess. The movie, I loved the movie. I thought it was a great movie. One of the better DC movies. I would say it's right up there with Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. And I mean, I haven't really heard anybody says or that have said that they didn't really like the movie that much, as far as the majority of people. Yeah, I don't know. I just love it. One of my favorite designs is the Alex Ross design of, pretty much any superhero Alex Ross does. He does an amazing depiction of them. He's an amazing artist, one of my absolute favorites, and I'm happy to have that old DC Direct Alex Ross Shazam. He is a gorgeous figure, and it's just, I don't know, whenever I pick up a Shazam figure, or whether I even just look back, because there's not too many Shazam figures out there. There's Superpowers, there's some DC Direct, there's some DC collectibles, but it's usually few and far between that we get them. Not a lot of people focus on the character all that much up until recently, with, the movie coming out and doing very well, and people over, I want to say, for the abundance of people, they enjoyed it. And it's nice to see that. It's nice to finally see one of my absolute favorite characters, that really represented a lot of my childhood. I would play with that figure. He represented a lot of different characters as well, because I would have to cross-brand my action figures. I didn't have too many of them. I would have to multi-character them. Um, I always used him as Hulk Hogan because he was, Hulk Hogan when you're a kid, he's a god, and the black and yellow, or the red and yellow, excuse me, black and yellow, the red and yellow, but yeah, just a great, awesome character, great, awesome bunch of figures. I don't think I've ever really come across a really bad. Well, there was that New 52 Shazam. Maybe that's the one where his arms wouldn't go down. I think it was just when DC Collectibles kind of switched from DC Direct to DC Collectibles, and it was very limited articulation. I think he had like knee bends, and like maybe his feet had hinges, and he had the hood up, and his arms would stick out, and he had one open hand on the left hand side and a fist hand on the other, and his arms just would not go down. I think that's the only one I was really like, wow, they really dropped the ball on this. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this thing. I do own it. It's not a proud moment that I'm, having with that figure, but I would say if there's one to pass on, that would be the one to pass on. The Mattel version with the hood that was removable, the hood itself sucked. I'm not going to lie. I think I did a review on it a long time ago, so you guys can check that out if you want to. But pretty much just have the hood removed on that one, and that's another one where I think the classic design really did supersede the New 52 one. Where there's a lot of New 52 designs where I actually did enjoy, but that classic design with the cape, the way it looks, and just the kind of like almost like rope, I guess, clasps that you have for the neck that kind of holds the cape in, and just the bright yellow and the bright reds that you get, that just kind of very superhero vibe, the natural superhero that you get from him. This is why I love Superman so much too, because he's just a natural good guy, and that's infectious. It's like a really good smile. When someone has a really good smile, that shit is infectious. It makes you want to smile too. And when you see a character that's as bright colored as these, or you see someone like a Superman, Batman's cool, but he's dark and brooding. It makes you want to take things more seriously. But when you see a guy like Shazam or Superman, it makes you want to smile. Nobody frowns when they look at Superman, unless you're just way out of whack. I don't know what to tell you. Unless you're just an edgelord, and then go have fun with the Punisher. But to me, I like it. I like characters that really emphasize being a hero, an actual hero, because that to me is harder to be than an anti-hero. It's easy to be an anti-hero. It's easy to go around killing everyone. It's so hard to be a hero. The sacrifices you have to make, the decisions that you have to make are much harder. It's always been the more interesting way to go, to have morals and values, and to have harder decisions to make. So, I don't know. I don't want to draw this on too long. I just kind of wanted to discuss one of my favorite characters and a bunch of my favorite toys that I've owned. And I've always told myself, I said, you know what? The day I stop collecting is the day I finish my holy grail, which my holy grail is, and I've told my girlfriend that, and she's like, okay, you ready to go buy it now? And I'm like, no, not yet. And she's like, oh. Anyway, but I told myself that I would get 2 figures. One is a mint-on card Superpowers Shazam, and 2 / Captain Marvel, whatever you want to call, and 2 would be a loose version of the Superpowers Shazam. And that would symbolize the beginning and the end. It would symbolize, that was the first figure I ever owned and ever had and enjoyed, and kind of fell in love with action figures because of that. And that would also symbolize the end, because I'm ready to end it with how I began it. And I don't know. That's just a little story from me to you, fellow collectors. And hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'm going to try and continue some more of this, memoirs from a collector. I kind of hiatused it a little bit. I don't know if that's a word. It's not. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you have any sort of, memories, or is any action figure really held on to you as much as it's held on to me with this character? Yeah, do you have collecting goals? What are your goals for collecting and stuff like that? But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.